The name's Bond. Unibond. I'm here to fill your crack. Yes, just charged up the old cordless vacuum cleaner because Uncle Barnyard is a little sod for eating biscuits and stuff in the cars. Secretly, so his wife doesn't know. And as a result, there's a lot of crumbs all around the handbrake area, etc. And there's a little switch there that does the door switches, locks the doors. So I charged up the old cordless, and I'm going to clean it out. Other jobs today. I'm going to do a bit more onto the Mercedes wing. It's, as you've seen, had the filler. I've started to sand it back now so we can see where we need to refill and stuff. Before I did that, I did paint it over with some rust converter and what have you. And I don't know whether it's just the effect of the paint, but some of the filler has like took on a little rusty hue. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be way better than what it was. The glass fibre is nice and strong. What I've got to figure out now is the front brackets on the body of the car, they all rot away. Nearly every wing you see for sale, they've all rotted in the same place where this bracket attaches at the front. Nearly every single wing you'll see for sale has either a little hole in the wing just there or it's going. They all do it, you know. There is somebody that sells the brackets, but they're like 160 quid a set, which is ridiculous. Whereas I think perhaps just a bit of angle iron, pop rivet, grind the original remains of the bracket off, and then pop rivet some angle iron or something, because ideally you need a little support between to hold the edge of the bumper on. But one way or the other we'll come round it. The only other way is I've got a little bit of spare glass fibre hanging off the wing, because the idea was to make that a right angle. I'm just figuring out how to do it. I might have to just form it with a wooden block, you know, lay the wing down, form it against the wooden block, and just put some like a plastic bag or something over the wood, so the glass fibre resin doesn't stick to the bag, or if it does stick to the bag we can just trim around the bag, because if you just put it up against excuse me, put it up against a block of wood or something like that, the resin will stick to the wood. So I've got a little right angle, and then I can probably just make something out of that and secure the bottom of the bumper to the wing. We'll see. One way or the other, I'll get, you know, a bit of plastic angle section or something like that, and I can glass fibre that in. That'll be strong enough. I have got some aluminium in the other shed, and I could bend up a bracket to pop rivet to the body. All it's got to do is just hold the corner of the bumper. The only other way of doing it was how it was originally done when I took it apart, and that is along the top edge of the bumper you put a bead of tiger seal. It's got to be an adhesive silicone. Well done, Jimmy, did that first time. And it's as strong as buggery when it's done, and that'll just give the edge of the bumper a bit of security. Other jobs, I've put a little stencil on Olive, and it is, one side looks totally crap and the other side's all right. But if you've ever seen any military stenciling or anything like that, a lot of it has runs in it and stuff like that. It's basically just slap the stencil on, psh, move on, do another one, psh, do that. It's funny because when you see restored military vehicles and stuff like that, all their stenciling will be absolutely perfect and all this lot. Military vehicles aren't like that, not when they're in service. They're well looked after and stuff like that, but quite often there's the odd paint run, and they're bashed about, and you know, and they're not tidy. In fact, I've said this before, I think I said it before on the when I went to Dunchurch, the tanks and trucks, the majority of the military vehicles you see in reenactments are just, they wouldn't have looked that good coming out of the factory, basically. So anyway, so there's a couple of jobs to do. I need to put a headlight bulb in Spurt because it's pathetic. I think I just kept the bulb that was in it. Now, when you look at the bike with the lights on, the name's Bond, it looks fine. It looks, you know, people are going to see you, which is the whole point of an headlight, really, on a motorbike, especially in the day, but I ride at night as well. And it needs to do its job. And unfortunately, I would have more illumination if a small Victorian gentleman walked in front of me with a flag and a candle. So I'm going to have a look at that. I have got some bulbs in my little box of bulbs to try. I think it's an H4, which I've got a couple of, and I've got a couple of these other little ones as well to try. I think there's a little access panel underneath the front fairing to get to the bulb. Otherwise, probably got to take the dashboard infill panel out and get that. People are just saying, "Oh, just take the fairing off." You could. It's not difficult, but it's an hassle that you don't want, really. So other than that, that's what I'm cracking on with. In fact, I might go and show you the bracket on the car, which I think is probably best to cut off with the old anglage grinder, because they're spot welded on at factory. And then I've got a nice clear area to try and make a bracket up. Now, places like Wicks and stuff sell bits of angle iron and aluminium and sheet metal and stuff like that at a reasonable price, and we all like stuff that's a reasonable price. So we'll see. Let me go and show you the bracket. Turning off the camera. So there's the original bracket, and you can see they all rust off just here. So I'm thinking probably just it might be alright to leave it, and then just put a bit of angle up there. Just pop rivet it onto this, because that is the original fixing, which is knackered. But the idea is to get the front bumper off as well, and clean that all up. Nice. But other than that, not bad. At the mess Uncle Barnyard has made, and evidence of Uncle Barnyard: biscuit wrappers. Yes, biscuit wrappers. Let's see how well this little shit does. Noise alert, possibly. They appear to have stuck on, so maybe give it a little brushing first and then do it. But yeah, Bernard. That is a lot better, but I need to come in with some antiseptic wipes, I think, and just wipe all this down and... oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to carry on doing this. Might even get the big hoover out and do the rest of it, because I'm using this a lot now, because I'm trying not to use Rosie. Nice. You ever tell you I hate cleaning cars? I don't actually mind doing interiors. Exteriors, forget it. It's yes, it's still got to do maintenance washes on Slinky, etc. And the idea is, once I've got that other wing done and on, that wing is coming off and all that sill's coming off. And yes, we'll just see, won't we, boys and girls? Yes.
One eternity later.
Hello folks, it's Thursday and I've just finished work. It's about 2:15 and I went to work on Spurtle. And by going to work on Spurtle, I've clocked over 1,020 miles in my ownership. So, what's gone wrong? Nothing that's really the fault of the bike. The rectifier, they can go at any time. The blister on the front tyre, well, not the bike's fault. Redid the fork seals, I've cleaned the brakes, and I've found a full rebuild kit for the brakes on this, which I completely forgot I'd ordered. But I've got a full rebuild kit, so I shall rebuild them and paint them like I did Uncle Steve's, because they turned out quite nice. The only other thing, I noticed this end cap was loose, so I investigated by pulling it out, which required no effort because it fell out, and the internal gubbins had rusted. And if you don't know anything about these, they've basically got a tube which connects the two halves with your baffles and your perforations and all that lot, and your wadding, and that had rusted in half, so that end was flapping in the breeze. And now this end is coming apart. So at some point at the weekend, I am going to today order the correct size exhaust clamp, and I will have it apart and see if we can't rectify it and put some wadding in it, because it's fruity. It's not too, I don't think it's too loud at all. It's fruity, but it's the right side of fruity. It sounds fantastic without being really, really annoying at low revs. So yes, that is your spurtulation update. Nice.